Uncovered, yes, thousands of newly uncovered Clinton documents. Fox News Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen is at the State Department. James.
Greta, good evening. Hillary Clinton has previously testified that all of the work-related emails from her time as Secretary of State, some 55,000 pages of them, were turned over to the Department of State back in November 2014. Now, the department acknowledges that earlier this month it received from the FBI an additional 14,900 documents on 7 CDs that were not part of what Mrs. Clinton made available. State Department officials say they've just begun going through the newly uncovered documents, determining how many of them are emails, which are work-related, which are personal, with the intention of turning over as many as the law will allow to Judicial Watch, the conservative legal watchdog group that sued for access to Clinton's emails and attended a hearing about them in federal district court today. Judicial Watch also released a number of separate email exchanges today involving aides to Secretary Clinton and showing the easy access that big-time donors to the Clinton Foundation have enjoyed to the Secretary's inner office. Now, separately, Fox News obtained call records for Hillary Clinton's chief of staff during her 4 years as Secretary of State, Cheryl Mills. These show that a senior executive at the Clinton Foundation left almost 150 messages for Cheryl Mills within a 2-year time frame. Those records were released in a court case involving the conservative advocacy group Citizens United. The State Department today said that it always acted under Secretary Clinton's tenure to advance U.S. foreign policy interests and with no other intent beyond that in mind.
Two quick questions, James. One is, where have these 14,900 documents been that they suddenly surfaced? That's the first question. And the second is, 148 messages were left for Cheryl Mills from the Clinton Global Initiative when she was at the State Department. I assume that doesn't include all the calls where they actually connected. These are just straight-up messages. Those are the ones that didn't get through, right?
Right. These are at least 148 messages that were left on these telephone logs for Cheryl Mills. There may have been other messages and other calls. We can't say that anything nefarious was transacted as a result of those messages, but far and away, Laura Graham, the COO of the Clinton Foundation, left many more messages than anyone else reflected in those logs. On the 14,900 documents and where they've been, the FBI Director, James Comey, told us when he announced his decision in the Clinton email scandal that not to pursue an indictment of the former secretary, that they had discovered some work-related emails of Mrs. Clinton's on other people's State Department accounts, and also perhaps, I think, through examination of her server. But again, these are 14,900 documents, not clear by any means that all of them are emails, but we do expect a lot of them will be.
And I'm not confident we got them all if they keep showing up every couple days or couple weeks. Anyway, thank you, James. And one more time, we're getting a huge response to our Twitter poll, so vote at home on Twitter. Should the Clinton Foundation be shut down? Tweet yes or no using hashtag Greta. We'll show you live Twitter votes throughout the show. Republican National Committee Chair Reince Priebus is here to go on the record. Nice to see you, sir.
Hey, nice to be with you, Greta.
I suppose that the Republican Party is loving this, that these 14,900 documents, which may also include emails, have surfaced.
I think it's a tragedy. I mean, I think it's a pathetic example of leadership, and I think that maybe James Comey needs to get back to work and look at these emails and figure out whether he had it right. I mean, you hit a great point before. I mean, 148 messages to Cheryl Mills from the Clinton Foundation.
It's hard to tell if that's, 148, if there are 148 calls, that's a lot. I can't tell if this is just the messages and there were others.
Okay, so you're right, though. I mean, if it's messages, how many actual times did she pick up the phone and cut the deal? And the fact is, you have lawyers for the Clinton Foundation, for Bill Clinton, for Hillary Clinton, communicating to Huma, who is working for both the Clinton Foundation and the State Department. You have our precious national secrets being given away by a person running for president and talking about trust and honesty. It's unbelievable.
The problem, at best, it's arrogance, because the promise is that the Clinton, when she became Secretary of State, is that the Clinton Global Initiative, is called, they would not be part of the State Department, that they would have, he would run that over here and she would do the State Department. And now we find that there's, it's cozy.
Well, it's an addiction to power. It is something that they set up in order to preserve their status in the world with world leaders taking foreign money. It's something that they created to empower and enrich themselves in the eyes of the world and people that would employ them and use their services, whether it be $500,000 speeches in Russia or wherever else that they gave these speeches. I mean, this is something that people should look at and say, this person is not qualified to be president of the United States because when they were given secrets of our country, they gave it away. That alone should disqualify her.
Just a side issue. Do you think the Clinton Foundation has done good around the world?
I have no idea.
But I mean,
I would imagine. Here's what I think. I think based on what I've seen so far, whatever good they've done around the world is eclipsed by all of the negativity and the corruption and the lying and the stealing and taking from foreign countries that I'm sure there are good things that they've done. But you have to measure whether that good could have been better done by that money going to the Salvation Army or going to doctors overseas. I mean, because in comparison to what they've done, I don't know.
Trump campaign, Donald Trump is, right now it seems as Secretary Clinton has him on the ropes a little bit. Can he turn it around, especially in light of the fact early voting begins in the all-important state of Ohio October 12th?
Which is another good reason why the FBI needs to get their work done and not sit on this so that the American people can figure it out. Yes, of course. Look, he had a great week last week. I think another good week this week. I think this thing is back on the rails. And I would tell you, look at the polling today and over the weekend. I mean, we're talking about 3-4 points. It's August. I definitely believe that this can be back and on track, and where you're going to see Donald Trump either tied or ahead after Labor Day.
Well, he seemed presidential in his speech. Then today he was back on Twitter. He's making fun of two hosts on MSNBC, calling them insecure, and two clowns. So he's back on Twitter this morning.
Well, look, you know what? Every day is a different day, but I think overall, if you look at the last few days of Donald Trump, you saw him today before your show or in the beginning of your show. He's on message talking about Hillary Clinton, and I thought his speeches last week were fantastic.
But once more he slips.
Well, look, you know what? These are things, it's very tough. It was a first-time campaigner to be in the middle of this media storm, and some of this stuff isn't fair, and some people just don't want to sit back and take it. I mean, he's somebody who just doesn't want to sit back and take a bunch of garbage from the media. And so, you know what? To a lot of people, I think it's refreshing.
Mr. Chairman, nice to see you, sir.
All right, take care.
And Secretary Hillary Clinton is in hot water with former Secretary of State Colin Powell. He says she's trying to pin her email problems on him. He says, not so fast. That's next.
The program is brought to you by Advil, fast, powerful, and proven relief that makes pain a